friends, welcome back. Hope you all had an awesome weekend. Yes, Nintendo has just unleashed its latest massive eShop sale, the Blockbuster sale, with discounts up to 70% off. So, like a good friend, I've compiled my own list of recommendations from that sale and even included some of my own which have discounts going up to 85% off. So we're going to go through all of those, but before we do, quickly, if you're new here, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, and that bell helps the channel out, and then sit along with us as we do delve into my recommendations of the Blockbuster sale. Let's go. First up. Now, I'm not one to usually give EA any of my money, so it's kind of reluctantly that I've got one of their games on this list, and that game is FIFA 24, which is 70% off in the eShop. You can get it for £16.49 or €17.99 euros. It's the best football game that we have on this system. Long gone are the days where we have Pro Evo gracing any of Nintendo's consoles, so this is the best game we've got if you fancy yourself a decent game of football. And at least, unlike past iterations, we do have more feature parity, and they've even included the Women's Football League as well. So, and it's got the Frostbite engine, so it's a level up from the past iterations. So if, like me, you are missing a decent game of football, why not consider picking this up, as I said, reluctantly. Next up, it's actually one of my very favorite games on Switch, It Takes Two, which only a few years ago won Game of the Year. It's developed by Hazelight Studios, the guys behind A Way Out, and just like that game, this is also a co-op game which you can play couch or online, and in fact, if you do play online, only one of you needs to own the game. It's currently 50% off in the eShop, and a game I can highly recommend. It looks beautiful, it's got an amazing art style, awesome story, amazing platforming, and it's got Nintendo levels of polish. So many different gameplay ideas which have you working together, and it's a game that you will honestly not want to put down. So I urge you to go check out It Takes Two. Now, sit up, because this is an insane one right here. You can currently get Wolfenstein II for 85% off in the eShop. That's £5.24 or €5.99 euros. That's like the price of a Big Mac. It's an insane price, but it's an incredible game. Don't be fooled. It is a very highly critically acclaimed game. It's of course one of Panic Button's many impossible ports on the Switch, and it is a game that has so much violence, it's insane. You are, of course, like other Wolfenstein games, chasing and killing Nazis all over the place back in World War II. It is an incredible story, very graphic story, and it's got a thumping soundtrack as well, if I remember rightly. It's a game that I've played through a couple of times. It wasn't the best looking game initially on the Switch, but soon afterwards, Panic Button did release one of those amazing patches where the resolution was improved vastly and it ran better also. So currently, right now, it's a very good game to get on the Switch, and I urge you to get that right now. Doom is easily one of my very favorite games on the Switch, and one of the easiest recommendations I can make on this list. In fact, if you haven't played it already, I don't know what to tell you except you are insane. But luckily for you, you can get it right now in the eShop 80% off. It is, of course, the game that started the trend of the impossible ports, and a game that nobody thought would ever run on Nintendo's tiny little console. That is until Panic Button came along and did their wizardry to make it so. It's not only one of the most critically acclaimed games of its generation, but a relentless assault on the senses. A game that never allows you to pause, never has you standing still. A game where you are surrounded by hordes of demons constantly around you whilst you're jumping from platform to platform, reloading your shotgun in midair, ripping off arms, and all accompanied by a thumping soundtrack which rips your chest open. It is one of the most amazing experiences you can have on Nintendo's console, and one of the games I can most highly recommend for you to check out. Next up, we've got even more Doom. Yes, because Doom Eternal is also discounted at 75% off in the eShop, and it's a game that I personally think outdoes Doom 2016. I think the gameplay was kept fresh with brand new gameplay ideas. The traversing around with the platforming was way more advanced and ambitious, and the soundtrack was just as pumping. And that is despite the fact that the game was actually a harder game to port, as it was more intensive on a brand new engine. Despite that, Panic Button got it running 30 FPS locked and 720 docked. It is an incredible experience, has incredible DLC, maybe some of the best I've ever played, and I urge you to also think about getting this game. Now then, this is a game that puts me in a super good mood. It is Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. It is, in my opinion, one of the very best 2D platformers on the Switch. In fact, maybe only behind Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. It is developed by Playtonic, which consisted of, at least initially, a number of ex-Rare developers who, of course, worked on all your favorite N64 games, including Donkey Kong Country 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Jet Force Gemini, Conker's Bad Fur Day, and, of course, the classic Donkey Kong Country series on the Super Nintendo. The gameplay is amazing, really precise platforming, lots of gameplay ideas, an amazing unique overworld map, incredible characters, Yooka-Laylee, who work together much like Banjo-Kazooie, an incredible awesome humorous villain in capital B, lots of humor in this game, lots of color. The music is outstanding and it's done by veterans David Wise and Grant Kirkhope. This is just a joy to play and it's 80% off. 80% off. You can get it for $4.99. So definitely check out this game. You will not regret it. It's a beautiful platformer.
Something wicked and so profoundly disgusting.
Layers of Fear is one of the most underrated horror games you can get on the Switch. It's incredible, and right now this is insane because you can get it for 85% off in the eShop and it costs just £2.69. That is cheaper than a coffee. That is ridiculous. And it's a game that has you playing as an artist in a house looking for your family, and you can tell very early on that you are losing your mind and it's causing you to hallucinate a lot of the things that you see around you. It's got an incredible atmosphere, a really cool story, lots of little extras, amazing jump scares, I don't mind telling you. I actually think it's better than the second game that they released, and it's a game I definitely urge you to check out if you're a fan like me of horror games. Bioshock Collection is some of the most highly decorated and critically acclaimed games of its generation, but they had skipped multiple Nintendo systems, that is until the Switch. I finally got to play them on Nintendo's little console and I can say the hype is real. The first in the series alone is one of my all-time favorite games now. It's got one of the best stories you will ever come across in a video game, always keeping you guessing with a twist at the end that is just amazing, up there with some of the best films I've seen. The now infamous underwater city Rapture is a sight to behold. It's not a horror game, but it's definitely got some very disturbing imagery. It's got full of characters, very unhinged characters, including the now famous woman who sings into the empty baby pram. It's also got some very terrifying enemies. I'm thinking of Big Daddy, which is this big massive robot thing seemingly controlled by a demonic little girl. It's just an incredible game and it's 80% off in the eShop. You can get it for $7.99. It is a trilogy, as I said. The second one I didn't like as much. The third one is a prequel which takes place in the sky. Also an amazing game. I definitely urge you to go and check out this incredible collection of games.
There's always a lighthouse.
Now, anyone who's been on my channel knows how much I love horror games, so it will be no surprise to learn that I've got Little Nightmares on this list, but it is a game that's discounted 75% off. Now, this is a beautifully atmospheric, creepy, shocking game even, much in the vein of Limbo or Inside. It's almost as though Tim Burton had made a horror game, think of it that way. But it's got amazing music. The game's got actually quite a lot of shocking imagery, especially later on. You play as Six, a hungry little girl who's stuck in the maw, which is an iron vessel, surrounded by lots of little monsters. Well, I say little, big monsters. As I say, there's lots of puzzles in the game, very head-scratching puzzles. It's one of the most atmospheric games I've played in a long time. The story is very ambiguous. You don't really know what's going on, and it's kind of left to you to decipher what you think is happening. The sequel is just as an amazing game. If you've not played it, I definitely urge you to check it out.
How can I help you?
Sticking with the horror theme, my god, you're gonna pee yourselves, because we have the scariest game of the last 10 years and one of the very best games and ports on the Switch Alien Isolation, which is 33% off in the eShop at the moment. This game was groundbreaking when it came out. It still has not been surpassed, not least because of the groundbreaking AI used to control the xenomorph that hunts you around the game. It is not scripted. It is a xenomorph that hunts you at random. It reacts to you. If you run, it will hear you. If you shoot a gun, it will hear you. The game looks beautiful. You are in the alien world. It is soaked in atmosphere. The script is amazing. The voice acting is great. The story is immense. It is just an amazing but horrifying experience, but one that I urge you to take on.
We get to shut the book. Ripley.
Super excellent! King of the free world, leader of this whole thing.
Now, next up, we have just an insane sale right now. A bundle of 2 games, including Saints Row the 3rd and Saints Row 4, which are discounted to 85%. You can get them both for £3.59 or €4.49. That is literally the price of a coffee. And for these 2 huge open world, insanely zany games, they are like the crazy brother version of GTA if that brother was an insomniac overdosed on drugs. The stuff you can do with this game is just insane. It's off the wire. You can jump into any vehicle you want, hit whoever you want. You have insane weapons. You are literally running around smacking people with dildos if you want. I ain't saying I'm doing it. I'm just saying you can do it. So, you know, and at that price, it's definitely worth having a go. It is co-op. You can play couch co-op even. Really fun games with insane storylines. Insane everything, actually. So I would definitely check this out if I were you. Very, very fun indeed.
It's our time now.
Next up, we have maybe the most infamous of all impossible ports on the Switch, The Witcher 3, discounted by 60% on the eShop. And if people were skeptical of Doom running on the Switch, nobody gave any chance that The Witcher 3 could ever run on Nintendo's tiny little hybrid, but that is what Saber Interactive were able to do. They were able to bring over one of the biggest open world games of all time onto Nintendo's tiny little console, and they fitted all of it into one 32GB cartridge. And for the most part, they did an amazing job. The game, of course, has graphical drawbacks. They have to make some concessions in that way, but it runs close to 30 FPS, which is what it ran at on PS4, for example. It includes all the DLC, including the acclaimed Blood and Wine DLC, and everything in the game is as it is in the other versions. It is an astonishing achievement. It's got an awesome story adapted from the novels, a true living, breathing open world for you to get lost into, fun and expansive combat, and a very deep skill tree to unlock. It's just an awesome game all round, and if you're looking for a massive open world to get your teeth sunk into, this is one I highly recommend. That's the video for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Those are my recommendations. Of course, it is just the tip of the iceberg because Nintendo has discounted over 1,000 games for this blockbuster sale, but I hope you've enjoyed it nonetheless. I will be back with more videos tomorrow. I'll be doing my Nintendo news again, so for anything Nintendo related, keep it here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I shall see you all on the next one. Bye.